Hello, happy happy Monday. I've got some things that I want to get off of my chest. Um, that
Happy Monday.
I have been slowly trying to come to grips with when it comes to life on this planet and being born um, as, I guess, a Black Negro, African American is what they call us. And I wanted to talk about the struggles um, and the struggles with the many frequencies that we're sort of forced to deal with. And I want to talk about why those energies are constantly being directed towards people who are not interested. And I'm planning on talking about this a little bit more because I was actually upstairs massaging my crown. I was oiling and massaging my crown, and then I decided that I wanted to talk about this because it's something that I've been struggling with my entire life. So if you don't know about the Andromedans, you can actually go and look them up. There's a lot of information about the different star seeds and the different places that a lot of us come from. And it's very frustrating to say the least because it's hard to find a place to fit into, especially when everybody is so disconnected from who they really are. And being of an Andromedan seed is very difficult when you are born into a slave bloodline. It's very, very difficult. In fact, it can be very crushing to the spirit, to say the least. Um, because I'm just keeping it real when I say this, and I'm going to say this as gentle as possible. But I honestly believe that a lot of the blacks, that especially the ones that are in America, um, they don't really want freedom. They just want attention. Is what I was thinking about. They don't really want freedom. They don't really want liberation. They just want to gain attention from being a slave and from being of a slave descent. And this is something that in my incarnated self right now, something that I have been wanting to break free of, to say the least. So, if you know anything about Andromedans, Andromedans are freedom fighters and healers. They're some of the masters of witchcraft and spirituality. And so it doesn't surprise me that I was led down this spiritual path of, I guess, what you would call occultism, spirituality. And, the other stuff doesn't really interest me at all. In fact, it's very boring to me. It's one of the most difficult things ever. The frequencies that come from either a family full of people that want and desire to be enslaved by whoever you want to call them, reptilians, Dracos, Orions, and they just don't seek that freedom from these establishments. I've never been able to stand patriarchy. I absolutely hate it. Absolutely. Um, but I know that there's a reason why I was born into this reality. And one of those reasons was to change things about the reality that we live in. And being that, a lot of the people that come from my bloodline and from my family, they don't really want freedom from this. They want to talk about it. They don't necessarily want to be about it. So anyway, I'm back. The frequencies of slavery, enslavement, limitations absolutely drive me crazy. And it's the most annoying thing ever. And this is the reason why they were over here thumbsing down the video that I did earlier, because a lot of those, sex orgies and stuff, those are actually related to slavery. So a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't realize that, even back during actual slavery, there were Black people that were forced to do rituals like that. And then now these days you have Black people that willingly go and participate in those rituals. And it was really funny. It was a really funny test to see how many people were actually viewing my channel that don't really have a connection to that, and why those particular activities are so repugnant to me, which is, if you are an Andromedan female, um, most of the Andromedan females are healers, natural healers. And it is extremely difficult for us to find a partner. It really is, because everybody carries a certain frequency and everybody carries energy. And when you have the energy of a man that is participating in things like that, it doesn't feel right. It feels very foreign when it's sitting next to me. I don't really like it. And I've been feeling extremely forced to be involved. Hey, I'll wake in. How you doing, sweetie? I've been feeling extremely forced to deal with men that are like that. In fact, there's a reptilian type of guy, and literally, because Andromedans are naturally telepathic, naturally. And if it's another type of starseed that is telepathic as well, they seem to be able to get in to our heads and interrupt, you know, um, our mood, and they're able to get in our heads and, interrupt transmissions and certain things that we're supposed to be getting from the universe. And it's so annoying, because literally this man was talking about me all day long, all day long, all day long. And they're so lower frequencies. Their whole thing is to harass, communicate with you telepathically so that they can get you to go live and talk about them, which is so juvenile. It's such a waste of time, but this is the kind of stuff that they do. And it's just really disgusting. And by the way, guys, just to let a lot of you androgynous females know that they are sending men to this earth. Yes, they are. So that's why last month when I was talking about new love, and see, that's why they don't like when I talk about that. They cannot stand when I talk about that, because I feel very strongly that they are traveling here now. They are. And I feel like a lot of them really won't have an identity when they get here. But they still will be here in physical form, and they are actually here to save a lot of the Andromedan females that have been dealing with these, very reptilian-like, and then other beings that are not native to us. Because Andromedans actually, they love sex and physical contact, but they just don't sleep around. They don't. They don't sleep around with a bunch of people. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they are highly attracted to us, but I don't even think it has anything to do with attraction. I think that they just want to play around with us, play with our heads so that they can lower our vibrations and frequencies, use and steal our healing energy, which literally they don't know what to do with it when they do get it. So it's been an energy harvest for just the longest. And I actually did spiritual work to help, but this guy literally him and other beings that are connected to that, they were literally talking about me. And I can hear people when they talking about me. They were literally talking about me and literally sending me telepathic messages all day long. And please believe that they're going to be severely punished for that, because it's unnecessary and it's just stupid. But there are a lot of different things that I do to help out with that, which is meditation, and then also those frequencies, because today they were really attacking. And I feel like the reason why they do it on Sunday is because this is kind of their day to feed, and everybody's at church, and just literally all day long it was Jamila. Even though they were not talking about me online, all of the talking was being done offline, all of it. And I could pick up on all of it. And so I've been speaking to certain people about that. And a lot of that is going to change. And it has changed because I haven't really been allowing myself to fall victim and to fall prey. But after hours and hours, and guys, I had like 4 or 5 readings to do today. After hours and hours and hours of these mental telepathic attacks, I had to say something. I did. And even though I don't want to, in fact, when this person, I guess when he did his little weird attack a few days ago, and you can even hear on his channel me talking to him, and I honestly didn't care about what he was doing. But these lower frequency individuals that are using slavery and using, comparing of Black women to white women and doing all of that, that's just a tool that they use to get energy from you and to lower your frequencies and your vibrations. And for me, it's really disgusting. It really is. And this is one of the reasons why they don't want to let you go. This is one of the reasons why your family members are literally treating you like a runaway slave. Because when you are from a slave bloodline, everybody within your bloodline is okay with being a slave. All of them are okay with it. And for me, I don't even feel like I belong with those people, or I don't even feel comfortable around that energy because it's so constricting and restricting. And that's one of the things about Andromedans, is that they don't like restriction. They don't like it. They don't like um, being dehumanized, and then also they don't enjoy being enslaved. This is one of the reasons why I don't break the law. This is one of the reasons why I've never been in jail. Never. Because I don't break the law. Because, one time I was arrested for something that I didn't do. I had to spend the night in jail. It was a bogus charge because I was being harassed by my neighbors. And I literally was getting ready to rip the door off of that place. So that is not a place where I belong, and I don't deserve to be in that place. And if they can't get you in that place, if they can't persuade you to break the law so that they can imprison you, then they will try to put you in a mental prison. And so a lot of the messages that I was getting from them today was extremely disturbing, extremely. And just all day it was just, this person was just gnawing at me and gnawing at me and gnawing at me. And, until I felt the need to, tell this person publicly, I don't want anything to do with you. I am cutting the cord from you. Goodbye. And, I really do hope that people that know me, that are family members, can understand that I could never be a part of puppeteering. I don't want to own a slave. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be a slave master. I don't want any of that in my consciousness at all. You see what I'm saying? And I don't like to see other people suffer, and so I would never do that to another human being or to another being on this planet, anybody, no matter who you are. Unless you are a detriment to society, then I think that you do need to be locked up. But if you are somebody like me that is very kind and gentle, that does not do that, then, of course. So it's a horrible frequency. It really is. And it doesn't feel right to me. And I know a lot of y'all are thinking, how do you know that you're an Andromedan? Well, it took me like a few years to figure it out. I kind of figured it out a couple of years ago. And, I've always had this fascination with the Andromeda galaxy, as well as the spirals in the galaxies and stuff. So I've always, even if I just, I can just sit and look at images of spirals in space, all the time. It's so beautiful to me. I feel like I belong there now. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up here, and I want to make the best of it. But there's a lot of people like myself that was born into a slave bloodline. And, they were angry at me earlier. They put 21 dislikes on the video that I did earlier. I can't imagine how corrupt a person would have to be to get angry and upset and dislike somebody saying, I don't want multiple sex partners. I don't want to do it. But when you think about it, this is the life of a slave. This is what the slaves had to go through. The women that were slaves, they were forced to sleep with many, many different people. I've explained this to you guys. A lot of people think that slavery is just about picking cotton, and it wasn't. It was about sex slavery. Okay, it was at the top of that list. And this is something that still goes on to this day. And it's something that I don't want to be a part of. And, when you're somebody that says, hey, I just want a partner or a lover to be with. I don't want to have sex with multiple people. I don't want to be a part of, you know, these sex orgies, which in my opinion are just slave orgies, because it's very reminiscent of, you know, what was happening back in the day. Even if you look at a porn video and you look at like orgies and stuff in porn, it's very reminiscent on what would happen and just throughout the ages, and just not even to Black people, but to all people, you know, to where there would be a room full of women, and then there would just be all these men that would go in and just ravish all of these women. And, you know, again, you know, for me, it doesn't feel right, but they were angry about that. And it's so sad, because it's like, why do you have a problem with my freedom of expression? Why does that bother you so much when I say that? Is it because a lot of the subconscious programming that was put into me did not work? Because a lot of their programming that they've tried to program me with, I don't know about you guys, but it just doesn't work on me. It really honestly doesn't. And when they can see that what they are doing, or whatever it is that they're trying to convey, when they can see that it doesn't work, and that I reject a lot of those values for several different reasons, it's not native to me. It just doesn't feel right to me. Okay, it just doesn't. And, you know, a lot of people were really, really upset about that, put a whole bunch of thumbs down, and was actually stalking and harassing me on both of my channels today. And this has a lot to do with them wanting to enslave your mind, wanting you to get involved in, you know, these very, very unnatural, you know, sexual situations. Very unnatural. They are. It's very unnatural. Okay. So it's really, really difficult. And the energy that I get from them, just the energy that I get from my parents, the energy that I get from some of the other members of my family, is that this is the limitation that has been put on a lot of them. And if your mind is able to see anything past that, then you're like the oddball out. For example, I know for a fact that my mother wanted to gain control over my children because she didn't see them as her grandchildren. She saw them more so as tools. Okay, which is why she told her youngest granddaughter that she was going to be a hoe. A hoe is a garden tool. Okay, so you know, this is the kind of subconscious programming that has been placed in a lot of us. You know, even if you have one boyfriend, even if you just want to be with one person, you're a hoe. And this is the mentality that, for me, doesn't feel right. It's very upsetting for me. And I'm seriously working on purging this energy from my system, because it's something that I just don't want anything to do with. It doesn't speak to me at all. You know, maybe going fishing, maybe sitting out by the lake or something and relaxing, having a nice glass of wine with a bowl of strawberries. That is what speaks to me. You know, doing dirty, you know, Slavic type of things. Hey, how you doing? I can't repeat that, what your screen name is, but hello. Hold on a minute, guys. I'll be right back. So all of those things, you know, selling your body, selling sex for money, all of those things fall under the slave system. It does. And a lot of women feeling as though they don't have the freedom to do what they want with their mind and with their body and with their spirit, and feeling as though they have to do those things to survive. So and it seems like we have been all but barred from people that are like-minded. It's almost like like-minded people like myself are literally kept separated from each other. And then also I've seen many people just really become corrupted that I know, in particular males. They seem to become very corrupted by, I guess, masters of my slave bloodline. And it's very upsetting. And, I don't want to be a part of those things. I love my liberation. I love my freedom. I love to be free to do what the hell I want to do. As long as I'm not harming another human being and I'm not harming myself, then what's the problem? And just being constricted. And I believe that this is the reason why so many Black people have health problems, because, they're barely even free to breathe, and it's something that I've worked really hard to separate myself from. I want nothing to do with it. And it's because it does not speak to my soul at all. At all. And I've seen people in different bondage situations, and a lot of people enjoy that bondage. And for me, I don't. I don't like to be restricted. I don't like for somebody to tell me what I shouldn't do. I've always had issue with authority. It's just who I am. And I'm never going to change for anybody. The energy of slavery and bondage and mental bondage, it just gives me a headache. It does. That's how my body literally responds to it, is with a headache. And I don't like people that have a slave mentality. I don't. And, those people were able to fool me. Okay. And I won't be fooled again. Because if I'm connected in any way with somebody that has a slave mentality, it's almost like going through hell, because that's exactly what they're going through, is hell. And, I feel like it's a choice. I feel like they're giving themselves a choice. And, they're asking me to join them, and I'm never going to join them in that stupidity. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind when it comes to that, because I know that I have the right, and I know that I have very high levels of protection when it comes to that. So I don't worry about, that at all. But it's really difficult to be, connected, to be an Andromedan female on this earth, and everybody around you wants to be a zombie and a slave. And it's just so weird, because that's not what we're about. We're about freedom to think, freedom to talk, freedom to do whatever we want to do. And it's so bad that one of them came by here, like I said, and stole my license plate, because they want to constrict. They want to constrict you and force you to be some sort of prisoner. And so, this is the reason why I'm moving away from this house, because, it's almost like they're trying to force me to be a prisoner in my own home. And, somebody that says, hey, it's almost like Jabba the Hutt. You know how Jabba the Hutt, in the movie Star Wars, how, he was very repulsive, and, he took Princess Leia and kidnapped her and held her hostage and, chained her to him. And it almost feels like that, slavery is the embodiment of Jabba the Hutt when you think about it, because that's what Jabba the Hutt did. He enslaved people and women, and forced them to procreate with him. And I don't even see how somebody even had sex with Jabba the Hutt, but Jabba the Hutt was a big old freak and he wanted women. So anyway, y'all, it's really, really difficult, and I would like to connect with people that are more like-minded. Because Andromedans are just very, very peaceful people, and they want peace. You see what I'm saying? They want peace. We want peace. We don't want all that who shot John. We really don't. Not in our actual lives, to where, somebody is just sitting there all day long gossiping. I think this is one of the reasons why God said to not gossip, because, I can hear people talking about me. I can hear them. So I've been trying to gain more power and control over this thing called telepathy. I think that being a telepath is probably one of the most hardest things, because these other beings who have no connection with me are constantly trying to send me telepathic messages constantly. And it just really sucks. It really does. So if you are somebody that has a slave mentality, you participate in slave-like activities like, group sex and orgies and stuff, then you're just not the type of person that I would, be personally involved with. I'm not saying that you can't be a client or you can't get a reading from me, but I wouldn't have any personal involvement, because those activities are not what speaks to me. It's not what I want. And the rituals that they were doing over the weekend were absolutely ridiculous. And earlier, when I got done with my live earlier, there was somebody that just kept driving back and forth and back and forth. And it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, okay, it seems like everybody in the neighborhood is asleep. So who are these people that's just kind of going back and forth and back and forth? That's why I have all my windows covered up, because, I'm sitting right at right in the middle of the road, to where when people come, like if you're going to go left or right on my block, your lights are going to shine directly into my house. So, this house is not good for me to be in anymore. I'm not supposed to still be here. I don't know why I'm still here, but it is what it is. I'll deal with it. That's why I've got the windows covered up. I've got all of my windows in my bedroom covered up so that I cannot see the cars that are driving up and down the street with their bright lights on, shining lights directly into this house. You're welcome, African High Priestess. Yeah, I'm more of a romantic person, even though I enjoy various aspects of sexuality, but my sexuality does not involve a bunch of people at the same time, or as many people as I can. That's just not that's not my bag. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Oh, you're a Cancer and cool. Yeah, and then especially being that I'm a Cancer, that's really not what Cancers typically do. But I think it goes a lot deeper than my zodiac sign or my sun sign or star sign. It really has everything to do with, where my spirit or where my energy originated from. And this is why these people are so unpleasant for me, and I just don't like it. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. And anybody that's associated with it, I just don't want anything to do with it. And I've learned my lesson trying to, pull certain people away from it. They're not going to be pulled away because those are things that they enjoy. And these are activities that I don't enjoy. For example, you guys know the Black sector, how they all get together and they talk and do. It kind of reminds me of my slave family, the way they kind of get together and they all, or, just going and going and going. And for me, I would rather be roasting marshmallows and watching a good movie or either playing a board game. I'm just keeping it real, or either just talking. All of that hoopla and stuff like that, it's something that I literally was forced to be involved with because those people kept sending people to my house for 4 years straight. So I've learned to put up much more of a spiritual defense. So I'm cool when it comes to that. But it's very frustrating because they expect for you to be what certain people who don't actually know you. I've actually figured that out, that there's a lot of, peeps, even in my family, that just don't know who the hell I am. They really honestly don't know me. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, just wanted to come and speak about that real quick, get that off of my chest, because oh my goodness, to be around like-minded people that are just like me would be so freaking refreshing. And I actually, because one of the readings that I did today, she said, oh my God, you were just so refreshing. You're like a cold glass of water on a hot day. And, I felt the same way speaking to her because, to be surrounded by so many negative people my entire life, and then almost being forced to be involved with that and not wanting to be involved with it at all. I remember back when I was living in Kansas City years and years ago, and I was sitting there and the family all got together over at my grandmother's house and they were all talking about me. And I literally had done nothing. I think the only thing that I did do was I started having a sexual relationship with a guy that was a friend of the family. And of course, a part of the slave bloodline is to shame you for having any sort of normal sexual energy. And I could literally feel that negative energy and I could almost hear them, which was why I wanted to get as far away from my family as possible. And my daughter walks up to me and she's like, what's wrong, mama? And she said, I can hear them too. And it was so weird. And she was only probably maybe 4 or 5 years old at that time. And it was so weird that she said that, because a few minutes later, I actually called over there and somebody picked up the phone and set it down so that I could hear them all talking about me behind my back. And that's one of the things that Andromedans deal with, is people talking about you behind your back. And I've been forgiving for it previously. I've been forgiving for it about that previously. And I still am, because I truly do love people unconditionally. But I'm not going to be taken advantage of. And I did not have my parents to protect me ever. I just didn't, and it's just the truth of the matter. It's just the reality of it. In fact, I feel the same way, about the situation that, this person I was doing a reading for earlier. And, she was saying the same thing, that she felt like she didn't even belong to those people. Like she felt like her mother was not her real mother. Like she felt like she had been adopted or something. That's how I felt my entire life, just really out of place, and it was personal. It was both personal and impersonal, because I just don't like to be around people that are all talk and no action when it comes to bettering themselves and their lives. And this is something that is extremely difficult for me to deal with, because that energetically, it doesn't make any sense. This is why I keep to myself a lot, because energetically, that's not, just being around somebody that is a slave in their mind is just, it's difficult for me. It's difficult for me to understand the way that they talk, and, the way that they sort of bow down for these people that they allow to enslave them. And, especially with all of the sexuality of a lot of Black people is reverting back to slavery. It is. And so I think that it's been a regression of Blacks, of a lot of Black people when it comes to that. It's like they regress to those habits, and it's just something that I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in being degraded, feeling powerless. I don't, no, thank you, not to anybody. Because when you do that, you are literally vibrating on such a low frequency. And this is what I don't like. I don't. And, there's this one person, like, literally, I'll never forget. Like, when I realize that you're somebody that's full of crap, and especially if it is an African American person in particular, but then again, other races of people that are into those types of energies and frequencies, I can't be around you either. I can't get down with you. But in particular, when it comes to African American people, when I see them doing that, their energy can be so powerful, and it has such a very powerful effect over other Black people, to the point where you just want to separate yourself altogether. And that's just the truth of how I feel. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to witness it. I don't want to talk to somebody that feels that they are lower than somebody else just because of the color of their skin. This is something that I feel should have went out with slavery, but instead it's been brought back along with the exploitation sexually of African American men and women. And for you to be an African American man, and I hate to say African American, for you to be a Black man and for you to be okay with that, literally makes me feel as though I am going to change form and just dissipate. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. Like, I just can't. I can't. When I see it, literally, instantly, I shut myself off and I shut it down. And if you are a Black man that is like that, I will do voodoo curses on you. Yes, I will. Me and my people. Because especially when they're constantly trying to use and exploit me, because they know I don't want anything to do with that. I think it's stupid. And when I was friends with a white person, it had nothing to do with that type of slave mentality. And I think that's why a lot of Andromedan women, even Black women especially, they go for people outside of the Black race, because those men that we see as white men or other races of men, they're not necessarily on that. They're just, kind of like, they just want to live. And so it's really, really difficult to even find a Black man that doesn't have that slave mentality, to where they will throw their own children into the lake of fire for somebody just because of the color of their skin. And especially over here in the South, where colorism is very, very heavy. The South is very, very heavily saturated with colorism. And I think it's stupid because I don't care what color you are. I don't care. Thank you, African High Priestess. I don't care. I don't care about the color of your skin. I honestly don't. And to be around somebody that directly says, well, I feel that this race of person is better. This is something that just doesn't resonate with me, because I don't even say that Black people are better. I don't say that anybody is better, because I don't think that it really has anything to do with color. I honestly don't. And I'm just tired of it, and I'm purging myself of a lot of that negative energy by with meditation. So whenever I pick up on that energy, instead of responding to those types of telepathic messages, I'm going to just start meditating. Okay? Yeah, instead of responding to that stuff, then I'm just going to start meditating. And, making sure that I'm not connected with that, because I'm not interested at all. Okay? At all. Yeah, good morning, you guys. So the world is so full of spiritually dead people, so you really remember the good ones. They're a rare treat. Yeah, you're right about that. But I feel like, just looking at the research that I have done on these particular people, I know that they have some sort of connection with reptilians, because reptilians came down here and wanted to enslave everybody, not just Blacks, but everybody is sort of like a slave to that, problem. And, when you don't have that mentality, and when you don't think that way, and especially not about yourself, and that you have to break that cycle because you don't want it in your family, then, they come for you, and they think they have the right to come for me because my daughter had a baby. And it's so stupid, which is all a trick in a game, trying to use motherhood against women, which is ridiculous. And so that's something that I just don't have, and I just don't fall for. But they would really, really love to do that, the shaming of women and their children. And this is one of the things that came along with slavery, was shaming Black women and their children. And it's so disgusting. And they think that they own your family. They think that they own rights to you. Okay? They think that they own rights to you. That's your opinion. Whoever you are in the chat room that said Black people have reptilian DNA, that's your opinion. Maybe some Black people have reptilian DNA. I don't have no reptilian DNA. Sorry. So you don't know me enough to say that. You've never looked and tested my blood. You don't know anything about me to say that. Okay? Because all Black people are not the same. If it's some Black people that have reptilian DNA, good. Just because I look Black does not mean that you can put certain things off on me and try to group me into a category that I'm not a part of. Okay? So anyway, you guys, I hope that y'all have a wonderful Monday. I'm going to get out of here because the weirdos done came. Yeah, the trolls done came. And so I'll see y'all later. Hopefully this will make a difference so that these people, because we're definitely doing work. because it doesn't make any sense for them to be obsessed with me. I mean, literally all day long. All day long, you've been talking about me all day long. I mean, what gives? You know? So, anyway, I'll see y'all later. Thank you guys. I'll see y'all later. Love and light.